Everyone is complaining about the 9% corporate tax here in Dubai, but the reality is you probably don't even have to pay it. Let me explain. In many videos, people are talking about the fact that if you make over 375,000 dirhams, you have to pay that 9% corporate tax, and 375 dirhams in US dollars is about 102,000 US dollars. Now, although this is true, there's actually something that you need to know. If your business is not making over 3 million dirhams in revenue, then this does not apply at all. So the first step to determining if you have to pay this corporate tax is number one, to see how much revenue is your company generating. Are you making over 3 million dirhams in revenue per year, which is roughly around 816,000 US dollars. So if you're not making over 3 million dirhams in revenue, which is about 816,000 US dollars, then you don't have to pay the corporate tax. However, it's really important to, number one, register for corporate tax. You still have to do this. And number two, have all the proper accounting and bookkeeping. Because at the end of the tax year, when you file for taxes, you have to elect for the small business relief, which will then allow you to avoid legally that 9% corporate tax. So you can't just make over this and not file anything, not have any bookkeeping, and expect to pay no corporate tax because you made under 3 million dirhams. You have to actually do step number one, which is register for corporate tax, and of course have the accounting, which is step number two. Now, let's say your company is making well over 3 million dirhams in revenue. Then in that case, what do you have to pay? So let's go over two examples. One example where you have to pay the corporate tax, and one example where you do not have to pay the corporate tax. Example number one, let's say your business made 3.1 million dirhams. Well, then in that case, you have to pay a corporate tax on any income, which is net income, above 375,000 dirhams. So if you make 376,000 dirhams, then you have to pay 9% on that additional 1,000 dirhams. It's not on the entire thing. Now, the second scenario where you don't have to pay it is, let's say you make 5 million dirhams in revenue, but your net income was 100,000 dirhams, which is below the 375,000 dirham limit. So in this case, yes, you do have to pay the corporate tax, but only if you went over the 375,000 dirhams, which you did not. So because of that, you don't have to pay the corporate tax. But let's give you another example. Let's say you made 2.8 million dirhams. You're under the 3 million threshold, which means that you don't have to pay the corporate tax as long as you maintain the proper bookkeeping and of course you file for corporate tax. But let's go over one last example where you don't have to pay the corporate tax, which is when you qualify for the small business relief. Let's say you made 2.9 million dirhams in revenue. Well, you are below the 3 million threshold, which means that if you register for corporate tax, had the proper accounting, you do not have to pay any corporate tax, meaning you pay zero in tax. So if you enjoyed this video, make sure to smash that like button. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. I would love to know what you guys think. Did I miss any? Let me know.